The MeToo movement may be long gone, but this era of false accusations is not. We don't really hear about these stories largely because people don't really talk about them. But I saw this thread on legal advice where a young man says he was falsely accused by a woman who was set up. She destroyed his life. He's depressed on antidepressants now. And what can he do? I'm going to read you this story and we're going to talk about it because it is still very frequent that men will get falsely accused of doing something untoward sexually, and they're innocent, and there's no recourse. Society does not care. Now, I talk about it quite a bit, that men are disposable, as it were, but certainly not in this regard. When I say that men are disposable, it's not meant to be an insult. It's meant to say life is hard, toughen up, grow up. But this is more about getting fired from a job or being overlooked for a position, having to crawl through the mud and crawl your way to success. When the system is rigged against you, this is a problem that needs to be shut down. And it's not. We still largely have this problem. We just haven't been talking about it. Take a look. I was falsely accused and proven innocent. I want to take it further. And there's got to be some recourse for this. During September 2024, I stayed over at a female friend's house, and 2 days later, I was arrested under suspicion of criminal damage. I was invited over because her parents were on holiday. I stayed one night, nothing weird happened at all, and I went to work in the morning the next day. 2 days later, I'm arrested by 4 police officers around midday, taken out of my bedroom of my house, and my entire family to witness. My possessions are taken, my watch, my phone, my AirPods, my car keys, my wallet. I'm also handcuffed and put in the back of a police car. I'm then taken to the police station where I finally find out I've been accused of, let's just keep it family friendly as best we can, and doing naughty deeds on multiple items that she owned. I'm relieved when I hear this because I know I haven't done it after spending over an hour stressed thinking I've damaged someone's property without realizing. Right away, you notice with realizing spelled with an S, this man is British. He's in the UK. He says, I'm then kept in a cell for 10 hours before being questioned. Some of the questions were outrageous. Like, this girl had set me up and lied to the police officers as she'd been questioned before me. I was told, she said, that I forcefully invited myself to stay at her house. I forcefully stayed in bed with her. She told me to sleep in her bed on the wall side, never offered an alternative. I also found out the items that the man then says he apparently damaged, if you know what I mean. Pillows, bed sheets, a duvet, 2 stuffed toys, a pair of her underwear, and her parents' bed sheets. Like, what? These items were taken in for forensics. What's funny about this is, for one, the UK sucks, but any man doing this investigation is going to be like, bro, how long did it take you to do that? Because I'm not sure that's physically possible. After being questioned and all procedures were done, I was released on bail and let to go home. But they kept my watch and phone for investigation. While this investigation was ongoing, it felt like this girl and her best friend made it their mission to ruin my life. Every single mutual friend of ours knew every detail about the investigation, and I was portrayed as guilty because that's what those girls were telling people. My friends that didn't even know were also messaged by these girls telling them all about it. People I didn't even know existed thought that I had done what they claimed I did. I've seen countless messages, voice notes, Snapchats, and calls from these girls to my friends. There's so much ish about me in the investigation. They even laughed about me getting arrested, which makes me think they didn't take it very seriously. They'd set me up. I've had people message me about it, threaten me. I've been blocked by a few friends. Some other people won't associate with me anymore. I've been physically shoved in a pub by another one of those close friends unprovoked. I've kept all evidence of them sending my friends messages, voice notes, photos, everything in case there was something I can do with them. Today I found out that forensics came back and there was no trace of male material, no trace of DNA anywhere. The police said my bail had been dropped, the investigation had been dropped, and there will be no further action against me. I was put through so much ish. I went through so much stress, lost so many friends. I became severely depressed because of this. I'm now on antidepressants. I have therapy. I hardly leave my house anymore because I'm so nervous to see those girls or the people that believe this about me. This doesn't feel just to me. whatever that means. I want to take this further. I want to press charges. I was falsely accused of doing something awful, and I went through an insane amount of defamation. I want compensation for this. I don't really know what to do next. Can I even take this further, or will I get pushed aside? I'm hoping somebody on here can give me advice and help me out with this. Thank you for taking the time to read this. What an insane story. Now, of course, it's a British guy. So I ain't got much to say for you here in America, my friend, because our legal system is different from yours and your country is captured. I'm going to go ahead and say, based on my view of the UK, there ain't nothing you can do about it. They're going to laugh at you because the men in the UK are pathetic. Yo, I don't know, maybe we put all the phthalates and PCBs, endocrine disruptors in our food, and now men across Europe are a bunch of effeminate, whiny babies. They're spineless and weak. They go around arresting people for saying naughty words on the internet. Talk about losers. Maybe it's simple as this. In Europe, when the population density was expanding and people were like, I don't want to live here anymore. Y'all are whiny babies. They got on boats, traveled 3 months across the ocean where 20% of the people on the boats died or more. I think it was more than that. Landed on barren shores of North America and said, works for me. They came off the boats with limited food. They had no idea what they were going to find and if they had supplies, and they started building. Because that's how bad Europe was at the time. And it's not just the UK. It was all across Europe. The colonists were like, we out. Conquistadors were like, riches, baby, adventure, and conquest. All that good stuff. So I tell you this. The strongest of people fled Europe. And from those people willing to risk death, the weakest among them died. And that's a sad reality. So only the strongest made it to this country. And they built it into the best country ever. Makes sense, right? You take a tiny bit of the best, drop them in a big open space, let them spread around, and you get the best of the best. That's just math. But we do have these problems here in this country as well. Like I mentioned early on, we do talk about the MeToo stuff, kind of. We don't really care about it all that much anymore. Now politics is all straight up politics. Democrat, Republican, Trump, Doge, USAID, et cetera, et cetera. 10 years ago, for many of us, we weren't as deeply involved in electoral politics. Cultural issues were the cause of our day. Why? For many of us, we knew people who were in college, seeing these stories like that mattress girl and how these people lied and falsely accused young men, and there was never any justice for them. Those were the big issues. When they were injecting their weird cultural views into our politics, into our games, into our movies, that mattered. The problem I say now for most of you is this stuff never went away. We simply started focusing on bigger picture issues. So now there's still young men in universities. There are still young men across this country and in the UK and in Europe who get falsely accused. Now, probably not Eastern Europe. So I don't know what the answer is. There were a lot of news outlets 10 years ago, seriously, a lot of digital outlets, and they'd write up anything. But now all anyone ever writes about is either celebrity garbage or Donald Trump, which kind of still is a lot of celebrity garbage. There were many outlets that would focus on these cultural issues, but they're not so much there anymore. People aren't paying attention. The news outlets aren't reporting on these stories. No one's really focused. You know what I think it is? It's obvious. At the time when we were, look, I'm 39 now. My birthday was was last week. So 10 years ago, you had a lot of people who were in the early 20s paying attention to this news, watching and paying attention, and they were in college, and they were scared about this. There were a lot of people who just got out watching, and they cared about this. Now we're all a bit older. We're out of school, we have families, and we're much more focused on the economy and other issues because that matters. But I got to tell you, my friends, it is maybe the natural ebb and flow, I guess, but everything's shifting culturally. And this is what tends to happen. But now take a look at modern music. You see, as people get older, they care less about, a couple things happen. You have families, you have kids. And so you say, I care about the economy and the schools. Bang! Department of Education is a huge issue. Why? Because a lot of people have young children. People my age maybe have 7, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds. And these kids are now going into school and the parents are concerned about it. What about the college kids? What about these other big cultural issues? What about music? The other issue is these older people don't buy music anymore. We're all happy with our music from the 90s and 2000s, maybe late 2010s. And so if a new band comes out with a song that's in our genre, we don't want to hear it. We already got the good songs from a long time ago. What ends up happening then? Young people are going to get indoctrinated by garbage. Young people are still going to be falsely accused. Weird feminist politics are still in our schools. We'll see if Trump can do something about that. But there's still Gen Z facing all of these issues that we talked about 10 years ago, now butting headfirst into it, and nobody's talking about it. These problems didn't go away. So Gen Z is going to start picking up these stories probably. They're going to start focusing on the issues around their schools and their colleges, and I think we're going to see more people talking about this stuff. Best of luck, good sir. I hope you win some defamation cases against those women, assuming the story's real. I'll wrap it up there. Stick around. We got more segments coming up, and we'll see you all shortly.